on the research as well. Because I'm sure most of us don't know that.
Yeah.
Being like clinical research, I'm thinking, are you a psychologist or what's going on, you know? Yeah.
So clinical research, it's the research that is done to develop new medicines.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Have you ever heard? Do you have any idea of it now that
I have a better understanding, like before, because with like medicine and stuff, you can't just distribute stuff without it being tested, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So more or less, I think it's a bit better. But I had no idea. Eh? No,
Yeah,
not
no idea.
Yeah.
Would you, if you, so you know it has to be tested in humans.
Yeah.
Would you, let's say you had a certain condition and then maybe you had hypertension, and there's a research for a new drug looking for patients to test a new hypertensive drug medicine. Would you do it?
Depending on the research, how extensive it is, but I would try. You
You
know?
will try.
I would. God forbid, but hopefully it's not the case. Because I prefer it to be tested to know how safe it is first.
Because I mean, for every medicine that we have on shelf, it had to go through the same process.
But what about the side effects? What happens? Let's say, worst case scenario, I have the worst side effects. What happens to me?
You're always monitored in clinical research. So let's say it happens that you have the worst side effect, then you call your doctor that is responsible for your oversight, and then they will guide you through the process. So the trials, this clinical research, they call it clinical trials. There is different levels.
Yeah.
So there's what they call, the first one they call them phase 1. Then there's phase 2 and phase 3. So phase 1 is like first in human.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first in human, they done to actually check if there are those kind of safety issues, you know, and they are not done anywhere. They are done in a qualified space. Usually, depending on the kind of medicine, it needs to be done in the setup which can be able to even afford ICU level care, because it's first in human, so that if anything happens, they are able to take care of you. But before you participate, they go through a process called an informed consent, which they will tell you all the information about the research and make sure you understand and you are aware. Then, only then, after the data for phase 1 is gathered, they can do the next phase. They can't just start exposing a lot of people into the next phase until they know that the first level of side effects. But that doesn't mean that with the other phases there won't be side effects.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So we do research here. During COVID, did you learn anything about how COVID vaccines were made?
No, actually, I did not. So was it the whole phase 1, 2, and 3 trials, basically?
Yeah, but then the COVID development happened fast. Usually, it takes a little bit longer to develop the drugs. But most of the drugs that were developed for COVID, you'll have found that they were not tested for the first time. It was like repurposed. Yeah, maybe they were previously analyzed for other stuff, you know, or the method of delivery was tested before or something of that. Yeah. But we did. I actually worked on a phase 3 trial. Those are the big ones where you have like lots of people, because you have gone through like the phase 1 and phase 2.
So just to ask, if for people who don't make it for phase 1 and 2, how do they get compensated? Like, what happens to them?
What do you mean make it like that?
Yeah.
It's rare, hey? I wouldn't say, like, I mean, I've been in this industry for 18 years. Sure. I've been in so many trials. I haven't, it's not like something that happens so common that someone may die. And if they do, there's an assessment that is done to check, was it because of the drug? Because it might be something else. And sometimes when we do these trials, we do 2 groups in most cases, where you have what we call a group which gets a placebo, like they get nothing, but we just don't know that they're not getting the actual drug. Then we have a group that gets the actual drug. So let's say you have 50 patients in the study, in the trial, you'll have 25 on one group, 25 on one group, so that you can be able to compare the data that you're collecting.
But of course, they don't know, especially the placebo ones.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind the placebo effect one, not the actual drug.
But you won't know whether you're on placebo or on the
that's
actual
thing.
drug.
I'd feel like a guinea pig, yo.
That word is usually used
Yeah.
for in clinical trials. Like, are you gonna make me a guinea pig? So some of the patients, they say, if we can become guinea pigs for development, because that's the only way. The reason why now, when you are not well, you are able to get treatment is because someone was a guinea pig.
Yeah, true.
You know.
Yeah.
So
do y'all pay them, or especially with like phase 3 and stuff, since it's a big group?
No, it's not a payment. It's called a reimbursement. Because a reimbursement in South Africa. So every country has their different regulators. So these things are like regulated from the Department of Health. The Department of Health have a division that actually regulate trials. So they will set up rules of how people should be compensated, because they don't want people not to take care of themselves and think of the money. You understand? So they compensate you for your time. Let's say you're at the site for 3 hours, as an example.
Yeah.